Well, I tell you what, if ever I was in that position, I would be at home first. Home always comes first. My son now is at university, he's 20. My daughter will be going next year. I'll have all the time in the world to focus back on work again. But whilst they've been in the last 10 years, I have basically tried to be there first for them and then anything else that needs to be done in my profession or my career.
And what would you say being a criminal lawyer can be the highs and lows?
Oh, highs is when you get your client off on a not guilty verdict. Oh, there's nothing that actually beats that feeling, because you feel like you've beaten the system, you've beaten the police, the criminal justice system, the Crown Prosecution Service, you know. And I suppose you have to be a sort of naturally against the establishment to feel that joy of having conquered it. The low is when a client gets off and you know they're guilty, and you know deep down.
Oh God.
And that's happened a few times, and you just think, what justice is there? Even though, I mean, obviously we can't do anything about it, it's not for us, we've defended him, and he's got a not guilty verdict, when in fact you think he shouldn't have done. And that's when you question the system.
How do you deal with it? Do you deal with the guilt because you were defending him?
No guilt. We've done our job well. That's how we deal with it.
But it doesn't bother a lawyer that there's a guilty person out there who could perhaps commit the same crime again?
It's not for us to have that guilt. It's really for the police to have done their job properly, to have got the conviction that they should have got for a client, for a defendant. So it's not really for us. It's for the judge to have, you know, given the right direction to the jury.
But can you say no to such a case, or you still have to do it?
No, we still have to defend. We have to be totally non-judgmental,
that
totally
must
professional.
be really difficult, especially if there's a rapist out there or someone like that. How do you deal with that?
You deal with it because it's not for us to convict. We are there to defend.
And do you not get emotionally involved in the case at all?
No, never. I will never get emotionally involved in clients.
It's never been?
No.
It's never no case?
It's unprofessional too. It's totally unprofessional. You wouldn't.
Ritu, you're a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
What attracted you to this particular field?
To become a motivational speaker? It was, again, by default. It was after I won all the awards, and then I was called to speak at the Mayor's Conference, the London Mayor's Conference, on International Women's Day a couple of years ago. And then from that I was asked to do a bigger talk. Then I was asked to come on TV programs and, you know, do motivational speaking. It actually grew from that. It was one, you know, they'd hear me at one event, and International Women's Day comes once a year, and I think I get 4 bookings on that one day, and then obviously some throughout the year. But yeah, it's basically because they need women to speak. There are so few women achievers at the moment, and it's not reflective of how many there should be.
And Ritu, in your legal profession, do you feel that perhaps there are some glass ceilings when it comes to women?
There are, in the legal profession.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I think in the city, I mean, friends of mine who've qualified same time as I have, which is now, 20 years, are not doing as well as they could have been doing, and they feel it, but they don't know what to do about it. They don't know what to say, how to approach it. That glass ceiling has been there, and I think it will be for a while. Until this new generation that we are now bringing into our profession and giving them the confidence to break that ceiling will come to that level.
So what does the future hold for Ritu Sethi?
Future holds much of what I enjoy doing. You know, I think it's just about, well, what do I really want to do this year? And you know, every New Year's Eve, and I'll just give people an insight, I sit with my children, Avinash and Nikita, who are now 20 and Nikita's 18. For the last 10 years, I would say, we've sat down every New Year's Day and written our goals. And my husband Sudhir will sometimes come, it's mood dependent with him, but every 1st of Jan, we'll 3, if not 4 of us, will sit down and we'll write our goals. So my children have had this since they were very young.
So while half the population is nursing a hangover, this is what you're doing.
Well, after the hangover, we then sit down and say, right, now what do we want this year? So it focuses each one of us. And then we also review last year's list, and they'll tick off out of 10, you know, what they accomplished in the last year. And I'm talking about my children's growing up years, so it would be things like, oh, I want to be grade 8 in singing, which is what Nikita does. I want to with my son, he plays the drums and he's played football and, you know, whatever teams he aspires to play for. So it's simple goals that we set as a family, but they have to be academic, they have to be spiritual goals. We set health goals, we set social goals. So we break it all up into 4 or 5 different areas that we want to do.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Please do write a book.
Oh, yes.
It will help many.
That is next, I think, on my list of things to do. And it has been for the last 5 years. It's just getting down to actually writing this book about a wholesome life.
So that's definitely in the cards.
Yes, yes.
Ritu, we are now going to go to our What's on Your Mind round.
Right, okay. Is it
Now-
lunchtime?
We'll get there too. So we're going to give you 2 choices and you have to pick one. Chiseled torso or full set of hair?
Oh, full set of hair.
Sylvester Stallone or Van Damme?
Sylvester Stallone.
Judge or QC?
Judge.
Hollywood or Bollywood?
Bollywood.
Life imprisonment or execution?
Phew. Neither, but execution.
100% silk bed sheets or 100% cotton?
Silk. Any day. Black.
Oh, thank you. We got a little insight into Ritu there. Pancake or parathas?
Prontas.
Private jet or yacht?
Yacht.
Shah Rukh Khan or Amir Khan?
Both. American.
Amir Khan. Fame or fortune?
Fame.
And our next round is going to be a special talent round.
Okay.
Now, you have a few choices. As we discussed before, you could either impersonate someone.
Okay.
I believe you're very good at it. Or I believe you have a poem maybe you'd like to read for
I
us?
have a poem,
Okay.
which has been the underlining influence of my life.
Okay.
And I thought this is a great time to share it. It's a long poem, it's by Rudyard Kipling, but I won't read the whole thing.
Okay.
There's a couple of verses which I think are so poignant. So if you don't mind,
No, please
I
go
will just read a couple of verses which I think are so true to me, and hopefully, as I say, they will inspire others. And one of these, the poem's called If, and it goes on to, it starts off, if you can do something and all of this. But there's a couple of lines, which is, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 impostors just the same. So that's basically what I was saying earlier, that no matter how great your life could be or how bad it could be, but if you can just meet with both of those and not be fazed by anything, as you said, nerves of steel.
Nerves of steel, yeah.
That's where it comes from. It doesn't matter how bad the situation is or how great it is, treat them both the same and just move on. That's a great quality to have.
Especially for a woman, because usually men are like that.
Yes, just don't be fazed. And then it goes on. And this was very, very relevant to me in my early years. If you can make one heap of your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, which is a game, so you put your winnings all in one pile, like a poker game, and you risk it, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, you will be a man, my son. It goes on. But basically it's about live life for today, and if you lose everything, doesn't matter, don't go around crying to anyone, just go back, find it within yourself to start again, and that's how you become a man or a woman, my son.
Thank you so much, Ritu. You know, you have truly inspired me.
Oh, thank you.
And it was so enjoyable speaking to you. You know, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to our
you
show.
as well,
Thank you.
Sadia.
Thank you so much.
God bless.
God bless. Our guest today was Ritu Sethi, a real inspiration, a role model to many young Asian British women. Meet us next week for our next Achiever.